to get points tonight, and where did it go wrong exactly?
I think we start the game like some games that we had. We suffer a goal, and then in this moment it's really hard to come back. We try it, but without the quality. They don't have the base of the way we play to cope with really difficult moments, and then they are a better team. They control the game. We had some chances to change the momentum, but like I said, everything they did was like a team. For us was more the moments of the players, and they are trying. Yeah. But they are.
Second half, it's been better. Second half, it's been better compared to the first half. Is that because you brought Mino, or did you change? And did you think during the match that you could have changed something, would have changed the result?
No, so if I think that I could do something to change the result, I will do it. I try it. But like I said, it was more from the players, the belief that they had, less my job of changing something, because in this moment, we don't have training to do, we don't have the base. When you are in the difficult moment, you need that base to cope with every moment. So they were better than us, plain and simple.
Yeah. 4 defeats in a row is a number. Of course, you will be working hard to avoid the effects of these numbers and to get back to the wins ways. So, how do you plan to address this result moving forward?
Training, just using every minute of the training to try to improve the team, to give them that base to cope with every minute of the game, improve all aspects. That's the way we should work all the time.
Awards to get through and the predictions for 2025 as well. And we'll bring you a reaction as well very shortly. Jamie Carragher is with us tonight. We will be talking, of course, in depth about Manchester United. But will Newcastle United see this run of form as a stepping stone to Champions League football again?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look at certain teams, you look at Aston Villa tonight, we normally put Aston Villa and Newcastle in the same sort of boat, really, where the teams who we really fancy to qualify for the Champions League, they've both been in that position where they've upset the apple cart, if you like, in terms of the notorious Champions League clubs. Aston Villa have drew tonight, Newcastle have won, and they're just on a little bit of run of form of late. They had a difficult start to the season, but it was interesting speaking to Eddie Howe before the game about just tweaking the balance and finding something a little bit different that we've seen in the last couple of years. And I think in midfield, that's a midfield that can go up against almost anything in the Premier League. That's a serious combination of 3 players there. They got a little bit of everything. I think we saw that certainly in that first half.
Well, we talk about how Manchester United might strengthen, but their opportunity potentially for Newcastle to do a little bit in January as well, to really reinforce their position. You wouldn't rule them out of that, would you?
No, I'm listening. I think when you speak to Eddie Howe, he still speaks about the PSR issues that the club have. I mean, Jacob Murphy's done brilliant in the last few weeks, but when you look at Newcastle, it is crying out for someone on that right side, probably with a left foot. And we see that now, don't we, with almost every team. They've got it with Anthony Gordon on the right foot, coming inside on that left side, and he probably lacked that, someone really special on that right side. I think that would be the next signing if you were Newcastle and Eddie Howe.
So was it all about the first 30 minutes, as much as Manchester United got it wrong, how Newcastle United got it right in terms of their approach to that first half an hour?
We said before the game, Dave, that they'd be on the front foot. We saw how they performed against sort of Ipswich away, with Dan Burn jumping onto one of the 10s and Tonali taking the other one. I didn't think they would take a backward step, and why would you? You're playing a Man United team who are awful, in terrible form as well, had lost, I think, the last home game 3-0 to Bournemouth, so they were always going to be on the front foot. And as soon as I saw that team, I'm not being clever, after the game, you just looked at the lack of athleticism in that Manchester United team, and not just in central midfield. You looked at centre-back, you looked in the front 3, you looked at Xerxes up there, he can't run, can't move. And I just looked at the energy and the pace in the Newcastle team, and I didn't see any way how Man United could win that game.
And it was an electrifying start from Newcastle United and their leading marksman, Alexander Isak, who became just the...
Actually close right now. I think he's the real standout.
He seemed surprised, the fact that he got all that space, particularly with the first goal from Manchester United, before they worked out what was going on.
Well, I mean, I'm going to have a real good look at this goal, and I can't change my opinion than what I had at half-time, that the situation you get in now is, so, OK, we said before the game, and we said in Ruben Amorim's first game, the problem with that system is these spaces. Now, either side of the central midfield players, so that's always going to be a problem, and Ruben Amorim will know that. Now, if those two players in there were Roy Keane and Brian Robson at their absolute best, at times it'd still be a problem for them, because that's the one drawback of the system. Every system has a slight problem that you think you can sort of get at them. But what did the manager think before the game was going to happen there? How was that never going to be a problem?
Well, because we were talking about this earlier. We were talking about this earlier, Jamie, in terms of the system. And I asked you a direct question earlier on today about what you need, what the requirements to play in this Ruben Amorim system. And the first thing that you said in that centre midfield, you need legs.
Because you've got to cover so much ground. That's just a negative. You have bodies in other areas. So I'm thinking, if you're Ruben Amorim, you're thinking, OK, they've got 3 in there, we've got 2. Now, how can I help them? He comes in here and maybe Xerxes drops in there. But don't forget, this is very early in the game. So if that was the plan from the manager, I think these players would have done that. But it almost looks like they're thinking, because they're on the same line as the centre forward, that maybe our job is to go there. Well, OK, if that's the job of your front 3 or the sort of wide attacking players, well, that means then that these have to jump. Your 2 centre-backs have to come in there. We've seen Dan Burn doing it. Dan Burn, I mean, he's a good centre-back, but, you know, he hasn't got a lot of pace. He's doing a great job for Newcastle. But if you were playing against Dan Burn, you'd think you'd have a great chance at maybe causing a problem at times in behind him. But at least he was brave and being on the front foot. What are these doing? De Ligt, Martinez, a World Cup winner. Be brave, have courage, jump. Help your 2 central midfield players. So for me, that is on the manager. I've got no criticism at all with Eriksen or Casemiro. That is the manager's fault. There was no way that plan could have worked in any way, shape or form. Now, we're just running on again now, and I just want to just stop and I just take it back again, and I go back to a little bit of courage. Now, don't forget, De Ligt and Martinez have not got any man to pick up. Just keep an eye on them. Don't watch the ball, just watch them. They're going back. They're going back. So Harry Maguire is actually ahead of them here. They haven't got a player, but they still go back. Looking after themselves, I'll drop off. But you're actually killing your central midfield players in there. So what was the plan from the manager? So for me, this goal is all on the manager and his setup. Yes, we know these players can do better. They're not great. We've criticised them, I don't know for how long, 2 or 3 years, these set of players. And that is unbelievable. That man finds himself in there. Now, I just want to stop it now. Now, we spoke about, again, these players not jumping and not showing courage. So you've basically got a 5v2 there with the 2 central midfield players. I actually felt sorry for them in there. 2 great players of the past. They've had great careers, but there's no way in the world they should be playing for Manchester United. Even if you were playing the narrowest midfield you've ever seen in your life anyway, they still should not be playing in that position for United. But again, the 3 centre-backs, not with anyone. And then the ball comes over. Now, as it comes wide, now, I just want to stop this now. So we just, as it comes in, we just take it back. Now, I want to speak about Maguire and Martinez. So Harry Maguire is in the centre. We can see that. He's there. OK, we can see where he's looking. And what he will be thinking about is, I think it's Jacob Murphy making a run just inside him. Now, I go further back and look at Martinez at the back post. Now, I've been there as a defender. He can't see the ball, OK? And that can happen. And it's a little bit of a panic as a defender. So you're at the back post, the cross is coming in, but you can't see it, OK?
So what do you do?
Well, what you don't do is do what he does. Now, you're the attacker. The ball's coming in here on that left foot. So if I can't see the ball, I'm behind you. Yeah. I can't see the ball. Yeah. And if I'm going to, what you try and do is you try and cheat and see, maybe I go a bit lower, can I see it? But what you do is you try and see it goal side. You don't try and see the ball goal that side. Yeah. You go this side.
Because you step out of position straight away.
So at least if I can't see it or the cross is already coming, I'm here and the goal's there. Don't worry, I'm not getting too disappointed with this. I'm enjoying it. But just keep an eye on Martinez, where he looks now. As this ball comes in, stop.
So
he's now looking this side. You can't look that side. He has to be looking that side. So I've been there as a defender where you can't see the ball and you panic a little bit and you try and see it somewhere. You don't do that because of that. And we see it better from this side again. You see the spaces this happens on. But this shouldn't happen with 3 at the back. I mean, the whole point of playing 3 at the back is at times the ball will come into the box. We've got 3 defenders. They're not even defending 2 strikers. They're defending 1. It was shocking. I mean, it couldn't get any worse, that goal. But as I go back to, a lot of that for me is the setup from the manager.
Which impacted the second goal as well, would you say?
I mean, before we play this clip, I mean, just look at this. I mean, the size of that pitch. Again, I go back to, he thinks he's pressing there. He must do. He's pressing there. And then how is that ever not going to be a problem? In your team meeting before the game, and you're thinking about how you're going to play, how would that not have happened on that pitch tonight? And then you've got Casemiro and Eriksen. Again, feel sorry for them. Bruno Guimaraes just leaves him there. Look at Tonali, the space he's got now, the space Trippier's got. But, OK, the space Trippier's got, that happens against this system at times when you're in the back 5. And again, it's another cross. I mean, let's just take it back there. As Anthony Gordon's shaping for that cross, what have we got here now? We've got... What is that? So we've got, what have we got there? 5v2.
5v2. I was watching Harry Maguire, who's making sure that Isak is not getting away from him this time.
Well, yeah, he was. And he knew he'd probably been done a little bit on the first goal. And you just watch Harry Maguire now as this cross comes in. But again, I go to Martinez. He can see Joe Linton. I know Joe Linton's bigger than him. But he can see him. And I'm expecting this guy to be using his body, be aggressive. Martinez, for me, when he first came in, I was very strong in the fact that I thought he was too small to play centre-back.
Defeats in 6 games, but take nothing away from Newcastle United. They've won 5 in a row. Alexander Isak scored again, and here he is.
Alex, your performance, especially in that first half, was devastating. What was the key to that victory tonight?
I think we got off to a good start. Intensity, we pressed them high. Regains, counter-attacks, I think we've done it really well and got 2 goals, so obviously a comfortable start. And then it was about closing, going backwards. So I think the performance today was really good, offensively and defensively.
How did you hurt Manchester United so effectively?
I think we have good quality when we win the ball to counter. But it starts off with the press and pressing as a team with intensity. And when we win the ball, we want to go straight forward. And yeah, today we scored 2 beautiful goals, so it was a good feeling.
Yeah, for your goal in particular, you were unmarked 6 yards out. I bet you couldn't believe it, could you?
Yeah, the ball took a bit of a deflection, so no, I mean my job is to be in the box when the ball is there. So I was there, and another goal.
6 games in a row now you've scored in the Premier League, obviously a hat-trick within that as well. Are you feeling as good as you felt on that pitch for Newcastle?
I don't know. All I know is I feel good. I think we're playing really good at the moment, and I'm feeling confident as well. So obviously you enjoy playing like we do now, and it's beneficial for me as well.
Yeah, he's on some run. He must feel like every time he plays he's going to score at the moment.
Yeah, that's the lovely feeling you get when you're a centre forward. We looked at him before the game, didn't we? We looked at the array of goals that he scores. It can be with anything, you know, his head, his left foot, his right foot. He's a good finisher, good in the air. Another header today. He's top class in every way. I love he's just class. He uses class, the way he goes into certain positions. I love some of his runs, the way he stays on side. This is his goal. He was right, the ball did take a deflection, and that probably did it for Manchester United, because if that ball comes in flat, Phil, it's much easier to defend.
Yeah, I think if it doesn't get a touch, I think Harry's in the right position to defend the ball. And yeah, it took a wicked deflection, and unfortunately it's in the back, for United point of view, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah, as you see, always getting into that 6-yard box, Steve. He knows where the goal is, he knows where most goals are scored. And
I think it's the timing of his movement. Like he manages to stay on side. He manages to time it just at the right time, where he can get a head on it or get a touch with a volley or a half volley. He does it really well and really effective as well.
And Harry Maguire there saying, I've got the runner, if my lip-reading skills are on blob. And he did have the runner, but obviously Isak was just ghosting him behind. So it was an unfortunate deflection, but still, the ball's landing in your 6-yard box. You've got 3 centre-halves and 2 wing-backs. You should have enough bodies to head that out.
Yeah, from a central defender's point of view?
Yeah, both goals are avoidable, I think. I think even the build-up before the goal, very easy, just one switch of play. No real great pressure on the ball. I mean, wide players these days, I feel they don't need much of a... they only need half a yard to stick the ball in, so you've got to get tighter, force him wider. Not good enough from United's point of view, and a simple header for Isak.
And just on him, 25 goals in this calendar year in the Premier League. That's more than Salah, more than Haaland, only bettered by Cole Palmer.
Yeah, he's seriously good. Newcastle have done so well to get him, and he won't.
Develop him,
yeah. And obviously to feed him as well. You know, Newcastle have got some good players that are in attacking positions that they get the ball to and play to his strengths. And of course, he won't be on the market. I mean, he'd be one of the most sought-after players. But if he was, then I'd say that only Manchester City probably wouldn't or couldn't do with him. I mean, Erling Haaland is that number 9, isn't he? But apart from that, he would walk into any team in the Premier League in that position.
Yeah, Joe Linton got the second goal. And as you say, again, from a United point of view, they'll be disappointed with the build-up and the way the ball came into the box again.
Yeah, just too easy to play through. Not enough pressure on the ball. You see the wide area here. He just chops back and there's no real pressure to go and get up to the ball. It's a simple ball in. And Lisandro Martinez has got caught underneath the ball a little bit, and he's just... Yeah, it's a powering header. Really difficult to stop when he gets a run on you, but he's got to do better. Got to stop the cross coming in first and foremost, and got to be stronger in the box. And 2 really simple goals, 2 very sane goals. And like I said, Man United give themselves a mountain to climb in the second half.
Harry Maguire here, I mean, he goes and sticks on Isak, doesn't he? Obviously, Isak scored the first goal, a similar goal to that. Is there anything in that where he's sort of... You could accuse him of the first goal, but then he's almost like, well, I've got my man, I'm not moving from my man this time. And all of a sudden, because he says, I was getting the runner on the first one. Well, actually, if he's watching the runner on this one, he probably heads it out. But this time, he almost glues himself to Isak. Just have a look at this, Phil. What do you think here? I mean, he just goes and glues himself. But if he goes with the runner, he'll have a chance of saving it.
If he actually stays in his position there, rather than engaging with Isak, he probably heads the ball away. But as a defender, you always get attracted to the man, and sometimes... Listen, you've got to stop the cross. He's 2 yards off him. This cross has come in. Maybe if he stays in the position, but I just think that just the cohesion between the back 3, back 5, you know, the way Newcastle performed today, the triggers that they set all over the pitch. You've seen Isak said in the interview after the game, the intensity they pressed that. United couldn't handle it in the first half, and then on the flip side of that, you look at United. It was very slow. The build-up was very laboured, and you couldn't really see the patterns of play forming. And then second half, they gave a little bit more of an intensity. They moved the ball around a little bit quicker, but couldn't really find the killer pass or the killer instinct to go and hurt Newcastle. And it was a really good performance, a solid performance from Newcastle.
You know what a United fan would want me to ask at this point? Why can't they start the game with that intensity that they started the second half with? Why does it take them to go 2-0 down and probably get a few choice words out?
Yeah, very, very good question. I think the best I've seen United this season, the best I've seen them is when they've played in a mid-block and they've almost swallowed the pride a little bit and gone, you know what, we'll sit a little bit deeper, we'll allow the opposition to come on and we'll counter quickly when we win the ball back. And we've got the likes of Garnacho and those types of people who can go and hurt you the other way. You did it against Arsenal in the first half, which I thought they were very good. OK, they didn't create too many chances, but I thought they were defensively out of possession. They were really good, really well structured, closed the gaps, closed the spaces nice and narrow. And against City, I thought the game plan worked reasonably well. OK, City are in a bad run of form as well, but, you know, when they press high up at the minute, it seems like they're not getting the triggers right, they're not getting the press right, so the distances then become so disjointed all over the pitch that it's very easy to play through the lines and split the lines. And they've not quite nailed that down yet. And listen, it's a work in progress. The manager's made that clear. It's going to be very tough. They're in a really bad run of form. The confidence is lower than a snake's belly at the minute. You can see that. You can sense it around the ground. And somehow, somewhere, somebody's going to have to get a grip of the players, or, you know, one of the players is going to have to, speak up, or something's going to have to be done in the dressing room to try and galvanise this team, because right now they're really suffering and low on confidence.
Well, Newcastle have come through their sticky spell, that is for sure. As we've said, 5 consecutive wins in all competitions, and in the Premier League 4 in a row without conceding a goal. A happy Eddie Howe then.
Eddie, quite often in seasons, clubs get chances to make a statement victories. Was that a big statement from your team here tonight?
I don't know about a statement. I think for us, we knew that we needed to try and keep the momentum that we built in recent weeks. We've had a really good look about us, very confident-looking team, and today I'm just really pleased we're able to do that at a ground that hasn't been kind to Newcastle over the years. So I think it's a big win in that sense, psychologically. Always tough to play here. I thought we played really well in that first half.
What does it tell us about your team that you were able to impose yourself so convincingly on the Old Trafford pitch against this Manchester United team, particularly in that first 20 minutes when you go 2-up?
Yeah, and I think that's the most pleasing thing. I think regardless of where we play, we have to try and be the same team. We have to stick to the same principles. Players were very good technically in that early stage of the game. I thought we dominated, created chances, had a really good look about us. I think at 2-0 the game changes, but really pleased with that opening spell.
Alexander Isak gets you off to the perfect start. You clearly know how good he is. He'd had a difficult start to the season. Is he right at his very best now, in your estimation?
I think he's getting there. I think his goal was, again, really pleasing. He's where he needs to be in the middle of the 6-yard box. It was a great move, a really good cross from Lewis Hall. Really pleased to see him where it matters most and affecting games in the way that only he can. Yeah, as I say, second half was a bit different for him, but he's certainly getting there. I think we believe in him, we believe in his talent. He can really make the difference for us.
You get the second goal, which is crucial, and the second half, as you say, things changed a bit. They bring on Maino in the first half. It changes the momentum of the game. Did we learn also about how tough your team can be?
Well, hopefully. I think we're moving in the right direction defensively. It hasn't always been easy for us this season. We've had chopping and changing early season, but we look to have a solid, settled back line, and I think that's made a big difference. We're going to have to shuffle that now with Fabian suspension, so that's going to be a blow for us, but hopefully we can adjust and still find a way to defend well.
5 straight victories in all competitions. What is the direction of travel in your mind other than just upwards?
Well, the direction of travel is very much to Tottenham now, and we're going through a spell of really difficult away games, Tottenham and then Arsenal, 2 massive games, but we're trying to enjoy them and approach them like we have this one.
I know you were asked earlier in the week about, is this side better than the team that you took to the Champions League 2 years ago? How would you assess it now, given we're at the halfway point?
I think time will tell. I never like to make bold or rash predictions because we have to prove everything. Certainly there's the talent in the squad to be better than that side, but we have to get the points that matches that team.
Of course, we've got the all-important January transfer window. I know you'll be peppered with questions about it. Is it about, for you, retaining the best players that you have, or is it about adding to this talented squad that you've talked about?
Yeah, I think first thing is retaining the players we have. We don't want to lose anybody. We've got a good balance to the team, a good balance to the squad. You can see the lads that came on the pitch at the end, desperate to play. So we've got everyone fighting for places. We don't want to disturb that.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah, we are at halfway. We know the issues he encountered with having to sell a couple of really talented young players because of FFP, the injuries he's had. So to come through all that and have them in 5th, 3 points off the Champions League at halfway, what about the job so far this season for him?
Very good. I think you know my feelings towards Eddie Howe. I think he's an exceptional manager. I think lots has been thrown at Newcastle in many ways. You know, if you go back a year or two, they were looking so good in the Premier League. They were into the Champions League. They were incredibly exciting to watch. And then, of course, some of the rules, FFP and certain players that had to be sold, and obviously they couldn't buy anybody because they were at that threshold. It almost slowed down their progression. It must be very, very frustrating for fans, for Eddie Howe himself. Of course, then you add to that some disturbances at board level as well. 1 or 2 people have left. Of course, 1 or 2 people went to Manchester United at board level as well. So a lot of disturbances. And he's probably not been able to strengthen the squad as he would have wished and to build on that really good momentum that he brought to the club. So I think a little bit of the last year it's stagnated or stayed. But for him to be 5th in the league now into a semi-final of the Cup, it's really good. And of course, he'll be hoping that he can gain that momentum again and start improving his squad.
And try and get a little bit more depth to it. I think that's his point, isn't it? If he does get 2 or 3 key injuries, they haven't got that depth at the moment.
He's done a wonderful job. The form that they're in at the minute, I would go back and say that the start of the season, that the sort of indifferent form they had a couple of good results, then a couple of setbacks. I almost feel like we're very quick to analyse, you know, statistically and look at the game and pick it apart. But I just think they had a lot of players underperforming and not playing to the maximum potential, especially when I've watched Newcastle. And you look at Isak, the form that he's on now, the players around him have started to, you know, get to the top of their level.
Gordon's one of those, isn't he?
Gordon's one of them. And just everyone. I think at this level you can get away with 1 or 2 that aren't quite at it in the game, but the other players can do the business for them. But when there's 3, 4, 5 of them who are underperforming just slightly and just off the top of the game, you know, at this level, it matters and it counts. And, you know, the form that Newcastle are in now is because everybody's performing to the top of the game and they deserve to be there.
And if they keep this momentum steadily, are they right in this Champions League top 4 shout?
Yes, they are. You know, you've got to think Liverpool, Arsenal are 2 pretty much guarantees for the top 4. But I would argue that anybody else, the place is up for grabs. I mean, Nottingham Forest are making a huge play for it. Chelsea just having a wobble at the moment. Aston Villa are obviously looking upwards and hoping they can do it again. And Newcastle, it wasn't so long ago since they were in the Champions League, so they've got a taste of it. They'll want more. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say that 2 places, 3rd and 4th place, are definitely available for teams like Newcastle.
And particularly with the season City are having, goodness knows where they're going to end up. It might be an opportunity, a real opportunity for someone this season.
Definitely. I think there's only really Liverpool that I would watch and think that they don't really look like dropping points. Everyone else has faltered a little bit along the way and has had the peaks and troughs. So, yeah, it's all up for grabs for sure.
Talking of dropping points, Ruben Amorim hasn't, as you said, got any of those of his own players. We don't expect too much January activity. So he's got 5 months here trying to put his blueprint on a squad that aren't his players, that are losing 5 of his first 8 games in charge. How's this conundrum going to get solved?
I know, it's going to be a long-term thing. I mean, who have they got next?
Liverpool
away. Yeah, and then Arsenal, is it, in the
Cup?
In the Cup. Doesn't get any easier. What I think needs to happen is he needs to get time on the training ground. This is still quite new. We spoke before the game. Phil spoke about the difference between back 4s and back 3s now. It can be a real big shift, real big change for players. I think time on the training ground is key. I mean, he mentioned it before the game as well. He hasn't had much time on the training ground. They're learning on the job. They're learning in the full glare of the media, the full glare of millions of people around the world. It's not easy. And then when you do it in front of people and you get beat badly, then all of a sudden it knocks your confidence as well. And you just want to lock yourself away, learn your new roles, have a bit of time on the training ground, gain some confidence, and then come and put it out into practice. But at the moment, as I say, they're washing their dirty linen in public, and it's not an easy thing to do.
And here's another episode of it, because here's the